Welcome, everybody. This is the Remix Austin Meetup. We are a monthly meetup that meets in Austin, Texas. Surprise, surprise. And we talk about Remix and React Router and front end and full stack, all that fun stuff. Today we have a super awesome speaker, Jacob, who's going to be talking about beehiiv, how beehiiv used Remix to scale to thousands of custom customer sites. I got the pleasure to meet Jacob and talk to him on Monday, and just super excited about what he is doing, what beehiiv is doing, how they're using Remix. And I also was really desperate for a speaker and worked out perfectly. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Good.
My name is Jacob Wolf. I'll give a little bit of intro about myself, and then I can talk a little bit about what is beehiiv, which is what you're probably wondering, and why I am here to talk. My name's Jacob. I'm a solutions engineer at beehiiv. Unlike most people that have that title, I would say I'm like most people that have that title are generally salespeople, of which I am a little bit, but I sort of sit at beehiiv as half product and half sales. So I work with the sales team, working with sort of our biggest enterprise customers to like develop solutions for plugging in beehiiv with their various different pieces of software. We're talking big news enterprise customers like news organizations, et cetera, using our system, plugging in with our API, et cetera, and consulting them about how they sort of build out that integration. And then also on the program side, or on the product programming side of things, have been working a little bit more on that side the past few months. I joined about 6 months ago. Prior to that, I was a journalist for a decade. So this has been a really interesting career pivot for me. So I spent almost 5 years at ESPN being the lead reporter on their esports team, bringing a bunch of news. I always told people what I would cover was fraud, sexual abuse, and millionaires and billionaires. But before that, when I was a teenager, I was a self-taught programmer. I started my programming journey when I was about 10 or 11 years old. My grandmother had one of those old like bubble iMacs. And I started learning how to program Objective-C on old Mac apps, and then eventually the iPhone, back before SwiftUI was a thing. And so started there, eventually got into web development pre-React. So learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and eventually PHP. I developed WordPress themes when I was a teenager to make extra money. And it was very WordPress sticker on the back of my laptop, despite actually fucking hating WordPress. So it's a big part of my life, but it's fine. So then I joined beehiiv earlier this year, sort of blend my passions, a little bit of sort of better interest in getting back into programming. I started like learning React about 2.5 years ago, because I was running my own business, media business. I didn't want to pay a developer to like spin up our own site. So I started learning how to build one myself. And then wanted to work somewhere that was like doing media tech, et cetera. We have customers. So what is beehiiv? Our tagline is a newsletter platform built for creators by creators. Show of hands, how many people here know what Substack is? Yeah, so if you've heard of Substack, we are somewhat similar in some ways and very different in others. We were founded in 2022 by 3 engineers who worked at Morning Brew. Morning Brew being the sort of the big news organization that really revolutionized the way that newsletters worked. Those 3 engineers, our 3 founders, wanted to essentially take the tech that they built at Morning Brew, notably like a referral program, the ability to programmatically refer your existing and use your existing subscribers to refer to others and sort of gamify it and give them rewards, using a system like that and tracking that. And they wanted to take that type of technology and expand it to all newsletter operators, basically, and allow people to start their own newsletter and to spin out and do all of that on their own. So we started then. In March 2024, we sent more than 1 billion emails in a single month. We have close to 500,000 total customers at this point. And overall, they're everywhere from big and small, people that just like start a blog and want to send out emails and build a list, to people that are major news organizations with millions of subscribers. We have, I'll talk about it in a little bit. We have had some really interesting infrastructure issues the past 7 or 8 months that we've been working very diligently to build out. I'm really excited to talk a little bit about those too. Last month, we paid more than $1 million to all our various different creators. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the monetization stuff that we do on our platform, and then I can talk through the tech on how some of that works. But basically, we have various different monetization features that we pay out creators based off of their various engagement, advertising, paid referrals, as well as a referral program of our own, where if you refer people to use beehiiv, you make 50% of their commission or 50% of commission off of their sign up for the first year. Some of our largest customers include Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life, the really big fantasy sports commentator. His publication runs on beehiiv. Brex, their like newsletter, runs on our platform as well. The Publish Press, which is Colin and Samir, the YouTubers, that is their like separate creator newsletter, is on beehiiv, and Cult of Mac, many others as well. So what we offer, basically start to send newsletter creation. So this is the ability, and I'm going to give a live demo here in a little bit, and I'll talk about the tech behind it. But basically, starting, if you've never had any experience spinning up a newsletter or a website, we want it to be really easy for you to come into the platform, sign up, and have both of those done in very no time. So what that looks like is a WYSIWYG editor that is built on TipTap, the open source text editor that we have worked with the TipTap team to build a lot of cool things on top of it. The ability to basically create a newsletter, send it to your list basically immediately. Then you also design your newsletter in a interactive React-based design builder, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. The ability to basically customize what the look and feel of your website in real time, see the feedback in real time as well. And then we also have the ability to segment your audience and run automations right in our platform. Very, very powerful tool that you can use to sort of target certain specific demos of your audience. This is really what I wanted to come and talk about more broadly. We started a newsletter company. It's what our founders knew. But we noticed, because of Substack, because of sort of everything else that's happening in 2022, a ton of demand for the ability to have basically custom blog websites and the ability to make them really easily. And so we have set out a lot over the past 2.5 years and continually iterated on top of it to build a fully customizable website builder and create custom pages. You can show off your post archive, a simple upgrade flow. And what's really cool about these, and this is what I'll get into in a little bit, is that it is a multi-tenant app. It is one repository that houses hundreds of thousands of various unique different websites for our users. They are all unique, but it's all served through one repo using Cloudflare for SaaS. Then we have the monetization features I was talking about. We have the ability for people to get pairs, like spin up paid subscriptions for their content so they can charge on a monthly, an annual, or a pay what you want subscription basis. We also have a Boost network that is the ability to earn from referrals. So basically, I recommend one of y'all's newsletters, and you basically are paying me to do that on a cost per acquisition basis. So per each subscriber, maybe you pay $2 that I get you. We handle all of that natively in the platform and make sure that everything's kosher in terms of checking that it's a legitimate subscriber, not spam, whatever it may be. And then we also have our own advertising network, which is rapidly growing, one of the fastest growing parts of our business. The ability to programmatically offer advertising to people on our platform straight out the gate. And as the slide says, some of our notable advertisers include Netflix and HubSpot as well. So basically being able to, based off of all the various different metrics we have about your newsletter, able to offer you advertising natively in the platform. So our stack, there are really two things that go into, there's two different apps in the context of beehiiv. So there's the beehiiv app, which is the sort of publisher experience, the ability to build your newsletter, segment your audience, run automations, link into all the various different automation features that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. And that starts with Rails. So the entire backend for our app is Ruby on Rails. People I work with are some of the most smart Rails developers I've ever seen in my life. And it's very fun to be at something that is Shopify adjacent because we look at them for a lot of inspiration because a lot of their backend is Rails too. Then on the front, we use React Router, though we are in the process of moving to Remix at the moment. We recently hired a few months ago Killiman, who is one of the top contributors to Remix as a contractor. So he's come in and is remixifying so much of our stack, though some of it was already remixed. And Tailwind CSS, self-explanatory, easily maintainable stuff. And so then that is the back. And then we have our publication website. So this is what I was referring to, sort of the multi-tenant network where it's all one repository that is serving hundreds of thousands of various different sites with various different designs, colors, etc. Across the back. That is Remix powered and Vite. It all compiles down with Vite. And then also Tailwind as well. So this has been Remix from the very beginning. And we're in the process of moving the other app as well. So think about this as like two completely separate repositories that talk with one another via API and all the various different data as well. So who wants to do a product demo? Feel free to stop me and ask me questions as I go through the product demo as well. So we are going to create a beehiiv publication and basically start from nothing and get spun up to the point that we can start a test publication. Okay, cool. Basically start a publication. Feel free to stop me at any point during here. So this is our dashboard. This is all React and Tailwind that you are seeing here, various different UI libraries. And then I want to go through sort of, first, let's build out the site, then we can go through what it looks like to start doing some of the writing and the automations, and then you guys can ask questions along the way there. So we have two different builders. Both of them are React-based. We have a website builder and a newsletter builder. We'll dive into the newsletter builder first. So on the back end, to sort of walk you through what this is. So you are doing all the design, all of this, and the left-hand side is all a React app. All of this, because email was an old-ass technology that has not changed very much since the 90s, all of this is ERB files that are going to be rendered out at the very end. So when you do a send, basically what we are doing is if you use any like merge tags, so like custom fields or anything that you define, we basically do all the compilation for you and then we send it out. It's fancy embedded iframe, ERB, HTML. And you'll notice the same website builder. So very nice, like sort of interactive experience here. You can change your colors, see it in real time. If we wanted to do any like custom fonts or anything of the sort, we have support for basically a wide gamut of fonts that we know are supported in email, which is not a lot. Again, email is old. We're playing around with Google and Yahoo and Outlook's pool more than we are our own. Though we have a little bit more flexibility on the websites. The ability to change. Go ahead.
I have a question. See, the text there is an ERB template, and you said that was because of the fact
Email.
that it's rendered because it runs like the 90s HTML. You can't do that in React.
Because we're using Rails on the back end, that is why this is all ERB. Yeah, because Rails does all those compilation in the back end, basically
has
the
its
ability
own,
to
right.
compile down. Send. We use, this is not a secret, we're built on top of SendGrid, which is like the big email distributor. So we basically do all the compilation for you in Rails, all the like background processes. So say you have like 1 million subscribers and you have 1 million custom fields for every single one of their first names. So you need to call their, first name, hey, first name, right? Like an merge tag. That compilation is not going to go very fast in JavaScript generally. It's going to go a little bit faster in Rails. And so we use Sidekick, the worker, to basically do all that. So when we go, it runs a job, does all the compilation, does all the injection that we need to do, and then pushes.
You can just write the email HTML directly in the ERB. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We do a bunch of conversion, which you'll see here in a second, from like editor.js and TipTap into as well the ERB files. But yeah, it's very nifty. Very interesting to try to build something around email just because. And like, I think the hardest part we've had generally is being able to like, what you see here is what it's going to look like in email because again, email is kind of old and it's hard and like we're bound and restricted and a lot of people are like, can I use this weird random custom font? No, because Gmail and Yahoo are going to make it look like serif in the end anyway. So we have the ability to basically spin up a newsletter, very interactive, change headings and change, we have a shocking number of people who use the built-in template, but choosing all your various different colors and font families. You can set up your footer, and we're previewing kind of in real time what each block looks like here. So if you go and you're like, okay, I want my social links to be a different color. Cool. Then I'm going to change these to a teal. This is hard to work on. Yeah, now it is a teal. Go ahead.
Consider maybe adding support where a custom font just gets changed into an image. The block of text is now an image with a new font.
I think the hardest part is that we are supporting so many people that doing image rendering like that is at scale is tough. Interesting though, I hadn't thought about it super thoroughly about using image text. I think it's a little bit easier to just like limit people to, what we know works and have tested. We use a software called Email on Acid to like test in basically every single view. But yeah, good point. Yeah, so then you can all your various different customizations here. And if we were to save, those all save as well. So the website builder is the really interesting part of this that I wanted to demo to you guys. All right, cool. Go to the website builder. So this is also iframe embedding. So this is what you were seeing here. This is the remix site that I was talking about, the publication sites. And so what one of these looks like out in the wild, if I show mine, is this whole like customization around what one of these is. Full customization around various different fonts, what your font sizing looks like. Yeah, and so full interactive, this is all remix. And the coolest thing I think about this repo is that like we change one element and it changes across hundreds of thousands of sites like that, which is really neat. We had to like do some button spacing crap the other day for like Google SEO. That's like accessibility, make the buttons further apart. It's easy enough to do it for one. So, basically being able to be real repeatable. But let's build one of these in real time. Yeah, this is all iframe embeds that you see here on the right side. You can put whatever logo you want in here and it will update, but let's update something a little bit easier than going to find an image file. Say that I want all my primary colors on my buttons and everything to be blue. That is now updated in real time. And then say I want all of my primary fonts to be black. Cool, it's black now too. And then maybe I want my secondary colors to be black.
It's happening through the back end or is it publicly junior?
It's happening, and so this is basically a preview of what you're going to be looking at. And when you hit save, it's all saved, and then we store all that information in the back end. And so then when you do a fetch, the remix site basically knows, hey, these are the settings. So I didn't have time just because Brooks asked me to come speak on Monday. Did not have time to like sanitize a repo for you guys to like show you what it looked like without giving away source code, native source code. But I actually will say, you want a little tip about how to do some of this. There is a very awesome NPM package called class names. Maybe some of y'all have used it before. The hardest part with something like this, when you're ingesting basically a string from a backend and as a style, one of the hardest parts is making sure the tailwind can tree shake, right? So like you want a concept of like when it does composite or it does the tiling composition at the front. Obviously, you want to minimize the amount of CSS that you're ingesting and let Tailwind do that process. It can be very hard for that to happen. Class names is really cool because it does it for you. So if you put two strings together and you call class names on it, it will combine them all into one nice little CSS string. And then there you go, it can tree shake. Sort of what's happening here in the back end is that we are calling for each of these sites the first time that a change is made and a page is loaded. We are calling from the back end what that is, and then it is cached. So long as there's not any changes, so at which point we invalidate said cache, right? You change an article, change a color, whatever it might be, we want to have a new version. Okay, so
I did have a question about, like, I know it's like probably company secrets and all that, but as far as like the primary colors go and like the secondary color, like, is that tied to a class? Like, it's like, like for all of the buttons, like that would be like a primary color and like that would be tied to a class, kind of thing.
yeah, we functionally, we allow for a ton of flexibility around colors. But I will say, I'm going to get to this later in the presentation. There are some limitations here, to your point, around like, yes, it is tied to a class. That's not a crazy like company secret. But there are some limitations about how fully customizable you can go, right? Like, and I think for us, that I'll get to in a little bit after I sort of show this off, the hardest part about this is being able to allow people to go as far as they want, store that data somewhere, and being able to serve it, right? So we use Cloudflare for SaaS products. People are linking their domains into us. And so there's like a domain setup, you do CNAME direction, that puts it into our Cloudflare SaaS where we basically run your domain for you now after you've done that redirection with the CNAME. And the hardest part around this is the fact that like one site looks crazy different from the other is like, how is that all managed? And, but I feel really confident in 3 to 4 months from now, we're going to have something very different, which is what I'm going to share in a little bit.
Awesome.
But yeah, so then, yeah, you can change up typography. This is a lot more easy because now it's Google Fonts. We're talking about the web. We're not talking about email. There's a lot more flexibility. You can do a lot more ingestion as well. And I think what I love about this, I did not build this system, but one of the coolest parts about it is that you're getting like real-time feedback basically on this render as well. Yeah, you can do sort of, this is where you start to see a little bit of the limitation of like how far you can go, but like, yeah, you can change border radius on various different blocks, can add various different shadows, etc. And then we do have sort of what I would call like layouts. So at the moment, we have sort of like three or four different sort of mock layouts that you can choose from. What I'm going to get to, I know I'm teasing it, but what I'm going to get to in a little bit, we'll show you sort of how we think that's going to be a little different here in the next couple of months. Because I think the biggest ask is we were an email company that became a website company that is now both. People expect us to have really good quality product on both. I think right now, like, we're definitely more advanced than Substack in the sense that everybody on Substack looks exactly the same. There's only 2 templates. However, there's a lot of ask all the time. Can I do this with the website builder? Can I do this with the website builder? Right? Like, how far can I go? And I think for us, like, we look at something like Webflow and we're like very inspired by the fact that people in Webflow can build whatever the hell they want, right? And it's like meant to be easy to use. I think the thing that is most interesting about us as a business and what's interesting about it as a product is we are as simple as you want to be, but as advanced as you want to be in a lot of different ways. And I think from a product perspective, like that is the goal, right? Like we should be really easy for base users if they have no experience in email or websites. Like they should be able to spin out one of these and start an hour, right? Like it should be a really quick experience. But if we have some big, massive publisher that wants super customizable stuff, let's support them too. Let them do whatever the heck they want. And we have a lot of people now who are using our API to like funnel their own front end sites that like calls the content from our back end, which is really interesting. I helped a couple months ago a guy spin up a site or like helped his dev spin up a Next.js site that pulls all of its content from our back end. So like he uses webhooks. So every time there's a new article, it sends out a webhook. He then uses the API to fetch all the content, and then he uses that JSON and he renders it, manipulates it in JavaScript, and then displays it exactly how he wants to display it. It's interesting. But ultimately, hopefully we get to a point where none of that is needed. You can go as custom as you want. We support it straight out the box. Yeah, so standard, like various different things in terms of SEO, breadcrumbs, social links, etc. And then if I go back to start writing, this is probably like the coolest React experience in the entire platform, which is why I want to show it off a little bit. So if you've ever seen TipTap, maybe you've not, maybe now you want to go home and research TipTap a little bit more. Really, really cool like editor experience. And we use it with editor.js to build this entire editor experience. A couple of things that are really cool about this. You do slash and there is a bunch of native blocks that you can insert. I think the TipTap team has been very inspired, without speaking for them, but very inspired by WordPress and the ability to just like throw in blocks crazy and whatever you want and like render it out. And maybe the hardest challenge for us, to be honest, has been being able to build some of these things so that they do render one way in email and render one in web. So like my favorite part about this is like a Twitter embed. You like go and grab a tweet and you do an embed. Twitter embedding is really easy on web. Like they have a native embed that you can just drop that you can get right off a Twitter site. It's easy for us to fetch it. It's easy for us to display it. Not every email client's going to support the Twitter embed, so it's going to break. So we have a fallback that we send along when we send an email that is basically made out of tables, table rows, and table columns. It looks exactly like the Twitter embed, but it's not technically the Twitter embed. And it's very funny. But hey, it works. But yeah, so we have a native editor here that you can type sort of any different text in, and you can feature that we launched this year that's really, really neat. We now have Google comment or Google Doc style editing and comment and collaboration. So one of the coolest parts about this is it's not like this is one of WordPress's worst issues is if you've ever used WordPress as a CMS, only one person can be typing at a single time, and then somebody has to exit out. You get the little pop-up that says, take over or whatever, and then God forbid you do it before your coworker's done with all the state updating. They lose all the work that they've just done. We don't have that problem. People can be in our editor editing in real time, and we are saving all of that information in real time. And then you have the ability to go and do this. And then it is a Google style comment conversation. Be shocked how many people just want to write in our platform all the time. Now we support the ability to do that and be able to collaborate with one another. And you can have a conversation around through the entire app. And it's really neat. And just like Google, I'm done with it. I've made your edits. Cool, check, go away. But yeah, and then generally, publishing a post is really easy, but again, this is another like as advanced as you want to be, but as simple as possible. You need to set your title and your subtitle, various different authors as well, guest authors, and then if you show by one in email, this will actually trigger like a profile picture with the name. We have A/B testing. This is also one of the coolest things about the platform that I really enjoy. This is not like revolutionary, but I think the way it works is really sick. So we basically will take roughly 10% of your list, send out an A/B test, 5% get subject line number 1, 5% get subject line number 2, and then we do data analytics. That is basically over a 3-hour window is looking which one was opened more. And then at the end, we choose the one that was opened more, and we send to the other 90% of the list with the one that was opened more. So if you have time and you're flexible, this is really nice because you get to A/B test the subject line. So then we support all the various different things around your website, SEO, overgraph, Twitter, etc., and delivery settings. Some other really cool stuff about this that is in the platform. So I'll show you guys segments and automations here in a moment. But we have block editor visibility. So say you have 3 premium tiers and you only want one of your premium tiers to be able to see a certain part of your post. This on somewhere like Substack, you can do like a paywall break, and then everything below a certain section is paywalled from that. And then you choose like what tier you paywall at. But maybe you want it to be in the middle of your newsletter. Maybe you want it to be at the top of your newsletter, right? You don't want to just throw in a break and everything below. We have the ability to support visibility settings that does this both in the web versions and also in the web version and the email version. So I don't want my free subscribers to see this block in the middle of my article. Cool. Now they don't. And you can do that with any piece of content, basically in the entire editor, which is really, really neat. Go ahead.
So like for like the SEO like feature on that, like say someone's site is just like a single page application, which is awful for SEO. Is there like any kind of like secret sauce in there that could like, help with SEO, like, increase on a single page application?
It's a good question. the thing is we are like very rigid and right now in terms of the building. So these like out the box, they aren't SPAs on the back right now. This is the actual editor is, and the actual like app experiences. But you're right. Like SPAs generally have a hard time with SEO. I wouldn't say there's any secret sauce here. Like you choose and we do ingestion based off of like pulling from the API, whatever you want it to be, Open Graph SEO, or an SEO title, description, all the various different tags you need, we do for you. But yeah, I don't have a great answer to it just because like, yeah, it's not like we are doing some PWA stuff right now with our remix sites, which will be really interesting. But the goal being that like if you wanted to save one of these news apps as an iPhone app, you can. But yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah, SEO is a sham. Like it's awful now. Like
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, like first 2 pages awful.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That subject, I was wondering if we could see like a lighthouse audit of this.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna use my own. Or you want desktop?
Either way, just curious.
There you go.
Oh,
That bit will change back. Yeah, SEO 100%. Accessibility. I would say performance wise, like we're working on it. Generally, keep teasing, but we are doing something soonish that I will talk about when I get to the end of this. Around website building that gets me really, really excited. That will be out in the next 3 months. So not terrible. Any feedback on that? Any Lighthouse SEO questions yet?
That was just curious.
Yeah.
I guess if speed is like a thing, or you're using your Blacko, there's I think a word called JS that you can just straight up on lines and the React site like double. So we can turn box.
We don't now. We've looked at what's the one that we looked at? It was called render.io recently. We're making a lot of changes around our like website experience. So it's like investing in a whole new stack around this is probably a little pointless at the moment because things are going to change pretty significantly. But all of this is generally like cached through Cloudflare. I think when I went into our Cloudflare account today, 96% of our pages are cached, including most of our publisher websites as well, being a part of that. Cool. All right, now I'll go back to the app. So that is the editor experience. It's really neat. Now I wanted to go through a little bit through automations because this is really. So we have a full automation suite. There's a React library that this is built in that is escaping me, so apologies. I'm sure I can look it up after the talk and tell you what it is. But this is one of the coolest features here on the back end, and was built actually the lead engineer for this project. We used to work at Review, the Twitter acquired email newsletter platform. Extremely smart software engineer. So we have the ability to do automations that trigger off various different event types. So we can trigger off of signups. We can trigger off of email submissions, survey submissions, poll responses, referral actions, segment actions, upgrades and downgrades. The other thing I like casually glossed over, sorry, didn't mean to, is that we do have premium subscriptions that you can start yourself. All of that is managed through Stripe. And so you set up a Stripe account that is connected to us, troubleshoot in the event that there's anything wrong. I do this far too often where I have to go into Stripe and find some random obscure data that somebody has messed something up and have to go fix it. Give people Stripe, sometimes they don't know what they're doing. But nonetheless, upgrade and downgrade events that are happening from Stripe webhooks. So Stripe webhooks go off and they fire back to us. It's part of like what happens when we set up those accounts. And so when those happen, they can trigger these automations. And then we also have the ability to add by API. This one's very common where it's like somebody in Zapier or Make or whatever their third-party function they run somewhere else. They want to add the subscriber return automation, whatever this may be. This is super powerful. You can use it for a bunch of different things, which I'm going to show very quickly. Some of the stuff you can do. So I am going to look for signups, people that have signed up for my newsletter. Doesn't matter where they came from. Doesn't matter if they signed up on my publication website. Doesn't matter if they signed up via the API. AKA, maybe I have my own form that's written somewhere else, and then they do the sign up there, and then they have an API function that calls to our API and adds. Maybe they come in through the Boost referral network that I was talking about, where you can share and do referrals with one another. It does not matter. This will trigger all of them will trigger. But maybe I only want to trigger it from people that come from Twitter. Twitter's UTM parameter generally is either t.co or twitter.com. Maybe that's changed recently since X, so maybe this is like not the best example, but generally we have conditioning that happens in all segmentation or here in these conditions. The ability to basically be like, hey, I only want people that come from Twitter to go into this automation. I don't know, maybe I ran a promotion on my Twitter or maybe I am running a promotion on my Twitter. So people that found me for Twitter, that is who I want to target. So you can do conditioning like this, and you're able to basically say, I only want people that match those UTM parameters. And now that will only catch those people. Maybe I want to exclude people that come from Twitter. So then I want to do does not contain. So basically everyone who's not from Twitter. The world is your oyster. How you want to do conditioning here is up to you. But it is very powerful, and you can do what you want to do with it. So now you can do various different things here. So you can send them an email that is customized. Maybe you want to call, it is the same editor. Maybe you want to call a merge tag. I don't have any set up on this account because you guys just maybe watch it, but like maybe I want to say, hey, first name. And then that is going to look for my custom field called first name. And then for every single person, when we do the send, we are going to take this email, we are going to fill it in with whatever the custom field for first name is, and then we are going to send it. And that is all going to happen without you having to do any work. And then you want to write them an email. You can preview what that email looks like. This is another iframe. And then maybe like after you send this email, very common use case of this is you want to re-engage your audience, right? So you like want to give them a button to click, and you're like, hey, we noticed you haven't read in a while. If you don't, you've got 7 days to confirm your subscription. Here's a button, right? Button can go wherever you want it to. And then we're going to do a time delay. So then we can say, hey, we want to wait 7 days. Cool. In 7 days, we are going to do a true or false branch, and we are going to see it's the same conditions that you guys saw earlier, but like days without clicks is greater than 7. Cool. They haven't clicked in 7 days. Cool. Well, the people that haven't clicked in 7 days, well, maybe we want to send them an email and say, hey, noticed you haven't done anything. Noticed you haven't clicked. Sorry, I am now unsubscribing you. Send them a button in here that's like, hey, you've now been unsubscribed. Click this button to resubscribe. And then you can update their subscription and you can make them inactive. Or you can apply a subscriber tag to them, or you can add a custom field, whatever it may be. And so this is like a really awesome automation platform. A lot of people ask me all the time, is this like Zapier embedded? It is not. This is all custom built. Again, I will look at the package JSON after this and tell you like what the underlying technology for this automation platform is. But it's really cool. And so, yeah, that is our automation system. The segmentation system is exactly the same in terms of the conditionals. So like dynamic, every day we check these, basically do a refresh, run a segment, test segment. There's some other stuff you can throw in here. So like maybe I'm only looking for my United States subscribers. Maybe I have something I want to do with them. Cool. We collect that data, have it, we store it. We know where their last click or open came from. And then we are able to show the people that are just in your subscriber base that are from the United States. and I hinted a little bit, the infrastructure has been a really challenging part of this. When you go from a company that's 2.5 years old and you start sending more than 1 billion emails every single month, the hard part of this is that you have probably about 14 or 15 million pieces of event data coming back from SendGrid every single day. All of that previously was stored in Postgres, which is not great when you have that much, like it's a massive, massive database with hundreds of billions of rows. We actually have recently spent a lot of time. It's probably one of the coolest projects, and we've talked a little bit about it publicly, but a lot with our customers privately. We've been spending a lot of time working on sort of a data infrastructure overhaul on the back end. It uses there's a company called ClickHouse that does columnar databases generally, and so that's what it is. We do ingestion data through Kafka and a couple of different connectors. Most of them are built on Go. So they're extremely performant and concurrent at the same time. And we are now able to ingest billions of rows of event data and action on all of them. We're about a third of the way at the moment, switching kind of all our various different statistic data in the app over to that. But it's been up for about 2 months, and queries that used to take me 15 minutes in Postgres now take me 40 seconds, which is really nice, querying millions of rows of data. Because it's not querying rows. If you know Columnar is querying columns, and it's doing each cell is its own individual thing. You're not select the whole row and then filter the row, which truly. But yeah, that is. And then the last thing I was going to get to. So I've been teasing that we're going to have a different web experience pretty soon. This is very up in the air. But you may or may not have heard of this company. I'm really excited about this. So we just acquired right at the end of the quarter, about 3 weeks ago, a company called TypeDream. TypeDream is a Webflow-like editor experience, web editor experience. My understanding is it was all built in JavaScript from like back and the front, which is crazy. But they, 3 of their engineers have joined our team. They start next week, and the goal is going to be over the next 3 to 4 months, have their entire experience WYSIWYG drag and drop, just like Webflow, native to our platform. And so we will have a brand new Web Builder 3.0. What you guys saw is 2.0, but we're going to have a whole brand new editor experience that you can build basically your own Webflow site using all the data that you have around your email. So I'm really, really stoked about this. And I think it will be really, really great. Cool. Well, happy to answer any questions around this that you guys have. But honestly, just very excited to be here. And thank you, Brooks, for the invitation. For y'all's questions.
So I was curious about like accessibility with beehiiv. Like, does it adhere to like ARIA principles and
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah, so we've been really, really strict about accessibility for all and like what that looks like, and being able to make the platform accessible. We've also like spent a shit ton of time at the beginning of this year making sure that we're like very globally compliant, so GDPR, et cetera. There's a toggle in the back end on like for each publisher if they want to be GDPR compliant, all they have to do is do a button. That's great. So yeah, it's when we deal with this many customers, like it's really important that we sort of have the ability to access kind of everyone we want from an audience perspective. Yeah. But
You'll know, you support.
excuse me.
You have support for Headbird, or aren't you like medical candidate for a medical company?
We don't at the moment. So we are not. I would say the majority of the email that comes through us right now is newsletter, not marketing and transactional. I think there's a world where like that might come, but I think a lot of the platforms that do have that support natively for email right now are transactional companies because they're ingesting data from third parties. Probably the one thing we're actually spending a lot of time around it this quarter and next quarter is Send API. Send API as a concept with email providers is really tough. For those not familiar, the idea is that you would take content from a third party, maybe another CMS or whatever it may be somewhere else, ingest it into your API, either via RSS or actually by an API call, take that, format it, and then distribute it. That happens with like Sailthrough and SendGrid and sort of the bigger email providers. We're a company of 78 people. Very hard to like moderate what comes in via Send API. So like we've spent actually a lot of time. I've not done any of this work, but we hired some really, really tip-top security and spam compliance folks. And we've been spending 4 or 5 months basically building ML models that recognize like phishing and malicious content, and will like do a content score. It can like read an email file and give you an answer within like 2 seconds, basically, if it thinks it's bad or not. And that was sort of a precursor to allowing people to like do send API and like send content our way. And so now we're gonna start building out the stack around that. It is by far the most requested feature that we have every single day is like, how can I take my content from Webflow or WordPress or Prismic or whatever it may be that maybe I'm a big news publisher and I want to do that. I don't want to interact with your platform except my marketing people that want to look at stats. But, yeah, basically being able to support their ability to do ingestion. And it's a very common ask, but also a very hard feature from an ingestion perspective and making sure we're not distributing phishing because, as you can imagine, we already have a lot of people that try to use the platform for phishing, and it's a constant game of whack-a-mole all the time. So, like, building ML systems to like fish snuff those people out before they are able to send is really, really important.
What moved your?
I wasn't there when we originally made these sites, but Remix was like the core foundational piece of our publication sites originally. I think from a routing perspective at that scale, I know a big part of that decision was around SEO and being able to move really fast. As you said earlier, SBAs generally have SEO problems. I think Remix is one of the frameworks that does a better job at SEO generally. So yeah, I wasn't there when we made the decision, but all of our website builders have been Remix basically from the very beginning.
So
Content part of it going.
are all like pre-compiled and then cache?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Any other questions?
You asked Nappy? Oh, like looking at it?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it is snappy.
We have some really, really talented product designers. I'm a terrible UI designer, so that is not my area of expertise. But I think like we just hired another UI designer probably about 4 weeks ago. So like we're changing a lot more now too. And I think we recognize generally that like if I go back to the actual platform itself, if I go back to the platform, like this can be an overwhelming experience if you're a first-time newsletter creator and you've never done this before. I think where we sit is a really interesting spot where we sit between people that are starting out, or maybe they started on somewhere like Substack, like sort of a very easy to spin up, et cetera, a newsletter. And they built audiences despite not understanding how to run businesses. So they have these audiences, maybe that's paid. Some of them are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue, and they want to be able to run a business. And somewhere like Substack doesn't give them segments, doesn't give them like detailed analytics, doesn't give them any of this, really. It gives them like open rate, click rate. Cool, but that's not very actionable, right? Like you're still trying to like figure out what you can do with that. And we provide a lot more than that. If you like go to a site and one of our actual like spun up sites and you look at like sort of post analytics, you can get like really detailed per country, acquisition source, like where they came from on the internet to get to you. We have the ability and we collect all of that data. But they don't know what to do with that. And I think like one of the biggest challenges we've had is that it looks nice, but it also can be overwhelming, right? And so like you don't know what to do. And like if you've ever used Substack is very easy to use. Again, to a fault in terms of some of those features. So we've been thinking a lot about like how do we make sort of user journey experiences. So maybe we recognize that you've not tried one of our features, right? Automation segments, whatever it may be, one of the like bigger, better marketing features. How can we guide you to that, right? Like we can do all the knowledge-based stuff in the world and like have a YouTube channel that has videos around these things, but like ultimately people aren't going to that as much as they are going to the app, right? And so like how can we use stuff like machine learning to look at what you have been doing and being like, okay, we think you should try this and make like very educated, smart decisions or suggestions to the user. Because yeah, I mean, I was a journalist. It's really nice to like work with other journalists, but like some of the journalist customers I work with, like they've never ran a business before. They've been in digital media for 20, 30 years. They've never had to worry about marketing. They've never had to worry about spend. They've never had to worry about accounting. They're not having to do number crunching themselves. And now here they are independent and they're trying to build a business and they're trying to learn how to do these things, but they need help. And I like love doing that as my job, but I'm one dude in a company of 78 people with hundreds of thousands of customers. Like there's, I can only support so much on an individual level. So like, yeah, being able, I think we're thinking about how to productize that basically is what I'm saying. And like how to make that journey as part of the app, basically, and guiding you and hand holding you through that process.
Is doing it in a product tour from that rate or not?
Yeah, we do some now. So like you see this like little thing over here, basically like, you know, customize your website, go through, like we kind of give you a checklist, but yeah, we're going to be doing more of that, I think. And really the goal using machine learning to like look at what have you done so far and what can we push you to and what suggestions can we give you based off of what you've done. So
Is there what's the term? I think it's gamification. Like I see like the streak there. Is
Yeah.
that kind of like a little like incentive and you get like a badge? too?
exactly.
That's genius.
This was something we thought about maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. It's been great. People love like it's become like a Twitter viral thing.
Absolutely.
Of all the places I've worked, honestly, I've never seen a place like beehiiv that has such significant word of mouth marketing that we pay $0 for. Like we basically did no paid acquisition until about, other than like programmatic ads on Facebook, Google, et cetera. But like we didn't do any targeted paid acquisition, like going to advertise on a podcast or YouTube channel or whatever it may be. We didn't do any of that until about 3 or 4 months ago. And somehow got to 500,000 users just by talking about it, right? Like we have a partner program. People are incentivized to like share around and get their friends to use beehiiv and then make 50% of the commissions for the first 12 months. But like I go on Twitter and LinkedIn, I see even more people talking about beehiiv than our own employees. And it's just like random ass people that use our product that absolutely love it and want to talk about it more. And I find it crazy, and we'll put out a product announcement and it's just flooded. And so, yeah, we've been thinking about like, how do we keep retention and people more in the product? And yeah, the streak thing is neat. Like,
Absolute genius.
yeah, it's not, I mean,
Powerful.
you can think like what like from a database perspective, what are you having to read there, right? Like you read the post table and send completed at column. Cool. How many days in a row do those days line up, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's just just look at the timestamps. It's really not hard. But yeah, I definitely think we're thinking a lot about like education, because I think we've gotten to a point where we definitely like found product market fit. There's like no doubt about it. Well, the company just reached, and I'm sharing this because it's public, but we just reached more than 10 million ARR as well. And we're growing at a clip of about $500,000 in ARR increase every 4 to 6 weeks. So like we're growing like fire. But now it's just like, how do we make it easy? How do we do retention, and like how do we help people grow? Because yeah, we're in a really competitive market. I think part of what's made us stand out is the fact that we care. Like the amount of people I know that have come from MailChimp or Salesforce or wherever it may be to us, and they're like, I can get a real human on the phone in 48 hours. Cool. Like I don't ever want that to go away, no matter how big we get. Yeah, it's a really interesting challenge. I mean, every day I like wake up eager to work on this, so it is fun.
Yeah, MailChimp was one of my questions actually, because I saw they had a website builder. I'm just curious, I guess you're saying like they're more marketing focused, you're more newsletter, or
Yeah, they are. I would say they're more professional focused. We're more creator focused. Granted, we have more and more customers every day that are joining the platform.
like Brex, for instance, like what are they? Because they're very like,
Yeah, so they use us primarily for. They don't only just use us for email. They also have like a transactional email. I don't know which provider it is. I guess it's like Amazon SES or something similar, where they can just like ingest email and do whatever, any content they want. But they use us for their newsletter. So they like have a newsletter that various different, bulletin items about their software and like financial management software tips, et cetera. And that's what they're using this for. So we definitely do have people that use it from like a marketing tool perspective. But I think historically it's been a lot of creators, and we have really, really big creators and really big like businesses that have built newsletters. Again, sometimes in spite of not knowing how, they just build these audiences. And I think, well, another talk for another time, but I also think there's like a lot going on to the point, I can't remember who said like that SEO is crap at the moment, that like having an owned audience that you can know through community platforms like Patreon or Memberful or whatever it may be, newsletter platforms like us, or Substack and community platforms like Discord, being able to know your audience by name and not have to go through Twitter or Facebook or Google to access your audience like that from a media perspective, I think that is like the biggest challenge and the trend that everyone is trying to do. And I think that's part of the reason we've been so successful in the past 2.5 years is because we are like one of the driving forces behind that of like, you know, every subscriber by name, you can collect data with them. Like the thing I didn't even demo was like surveys and polls. We have the ability to natively put surveys and polls directly in email. And then like based off what they fill out in that survey, it goes into custom fields that are assigned to their subscription. It's really easy to use. Our survey builder is basically like Typeform. And yeah, and so the ability to like have all that data and know your audience so directly is really, really key right now. And that's, I think, part of the reason we've been so successful. But also like we're financially more accessible than MailChimp as well. MailChimp's very expensive.
Yeah.
And we start at $39 a month and go like all the way up to, we have a free plan that goes up to like 2,500 subscribers and then you can start paying. We give you a lot of feature access to for 2,500 subscribers. And then, yeah, our like Pro plans start at $39 a month. And then on the higher end, like as you get closer to 100,000 subs, you start paying closer to like, I want to misquote the price points up here, but it's like, I want to say it's like $450, $500 is like our max sort of self-serve. And then like you come and talk to us if you get over 100,000 subs about like enterprise pricing and like some other stuff like custom or dedicated IPs and come with like enterprise pricing as well. But even our enterprise plans are way cheaper than most of the others because the cost here is not crazy expensive. Like it's the infrastructure and stuff that we're building, but like I mentioned, the Columnar database system that we're building. Because when it's fully integrated, we're going to be saving $200,000 a month because it's cheaper to maintain that than it is to maintain a massive Postgres instance, right? So, yeah, it's really interesting. I think, yeah, I've never worked in a company quite like this, but
This admin interface is just throws odds, just React or an API backend. The API backend is that Rails?
yep,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Have you guys struggled to use Rails with an API backend, or does it work?
My thoughts are not necessarily the company's on this. We have really talented Rails developers, our CTO, and one of our senior engineers who was like the first full-time engineering hires out of are really talented Rails developers. So there's a reason it's Rails. It's because it was built this way because of comfort originally. We do use Sidekick for processing jobs, and I think Sidekick, we have pushed it way past what it is supposed to be doing. Huh? It is not meant to manage this much data and like process this many.
And it's, but there are a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a world where I think some of our microservices should go eventually because of concurrency, right? They need to process really fast and concurrently.
You all parts of the app.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that was the like system that used to run data analytics for us that still kind of does, but we're moving away from was like a Rails app with Postgres. And like that thing could not handle the 15 billion events a month, right? Like it's just like, it's far outside of its reach. There's a really interesting blog I read maybe about a month and a half ago from Figma talking about how they like vertically scaled Postgres. Yeah.
Sharded everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we could have done that, or we could just switch to Columnar with Go, and it did that, and it's way better. Again, it like you can do a very complex query and get it back in 40 seconds versus like 15 to 20 minutes, which is pretty neat. So performance difference is very noticeable. But I will say, I mean, I think like Shopify figured out how to scale to be massive with Rails. So like, I think some people have figured it out, but like there's a place and a time where I think you should peel off some of it and like make it in other languages that are a little bit more optimized for managing that much data. So, but
You said that like it was eventually going to migrate over to Go, like for the backend. Like was that?
no,
That's
not
interesting.
everything. So we did migrate. We are migrating like the events backend to Go to like a Go. ClickHouse is built, I think, on C, if I'm not mistaken. So like we're using their Columnar databases with sort of Go microservices to like piece the data together from SendGrid, because again, we're getting like 15 billion events a month that it needs to process, and it needs to process them very fast. So yeah, I don't think everything's going to move to Go. And honestly, I think Rails is fine for some of it, but other parts, like definitely the biggest like slowness in our app in the moment is sort of the events related data. And so moving that about a third of the way, we're rewriting every single query in the app, which is like, because we changed the event infrastructure when we moved Colmar. But yeah, it's been really interesting because that is, I hate when we have to like put a banner at the top that's like, oh, event data is, like analytics data is delayed by an hour or whatever. Like that's nobody likes it. So yeah, it's been a real like 7 or 8 month project now to move. And yeah, it's been really neat. I had not had a ton of exposure to Colmar, and there are far smarter infrastructure engineers in the company that are managing and building that. So but yeah. Cool. Thank you all. Much appreciated. Happy to like chat afterwards. Yeah, thank you for having me for my first time at Remix Austin. Awesome.
Woo-hoo! There are a couple comments. I wanted to make sure I read. Seth said that he's now a beehiiv fan. So yeah, one fan. He also said that he's unemployed, so he's looking for a job. People are hiring.
I used to work on ad tech. I think we have some postings. If he knows Rails. Yeah.
I don't know if you know Rails. And then also he said your comment about class names, which is way early on. You said CVA is better, so I'll work for you. But really, yeah, thank you again, Jacob, for that presentation. That was super cool, and thanks everyone for the questions. Yeah, always nice to be lively. Looking for more speakers. I don't have anyone lined up necessarily for next month, so if you've got an idea, here's just a splattering of random ideas, things I haven't put on there that I probably should. If you are interested in trying to stay up to date with the latest in Remix and want to disseminate that information to other people, there's like a bunch of in-flight work that we're doing, like Power More and Single Fetch, all sorts of fun stuff that anyone could talk on. And then lastly, if I can figure out how to use Keynote again, there we go. We have a website and we've had it for a while, remixaustin.com. And Mark and a few other people have been working on some ideas for kind of revamping it. So if anyone wants to chat with Mark afterwards, like the remaining kind of 20 minutes we have, you just want to be right here. You want to, okay, cool. Yeah, just come chat with Mark, and he'd love to talk. And otherwise, yeah, feel free to talk to Jacob or me if you have questions about Remix, or hang out or leave. And yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for coming.